Insanely strict rules NFL cheerleaders have to follow. Being a cheerleader is tough, especially in the NFL. Here are some of the strict rules these women are forced to follow. Average NFL cheerleader pay. Until very recently, cheerleaders didn't even get paid minimum wage. Several media sites published NFL cheerleaders get between $50 to $75 per public appearance. No sitting. The rule states that girls must always stand and move around, according to the Sportster. Unless an official requests them to sit, the women should remain standing at all times. Must buy their own uniform. Cheerleader costumes cost upwards of $500. What's even worse is that they have to pay for the costumes on their own. No undergarments. Cheerleaders cannot wear underwear under their uniforms because the fabric may stick out during a performance. Some teams also require cheerleaders to go commando during practice. Always use utensils to eat. Cheerleaders have to follow strict dining rules like what silverware to use and when. The guidebook also states that cheerleaders cannot use their fingers to eat. Must wear two-piece outfits on Tuesdays. While it has a lighthearted name, Two-Piece Tuesday requires women to show up to practice wearing a two-piece. It must reveal their midriff, too, or else they'll be fined $10 for each day they don't show up with it on. No body jiggling. There's a specific rule that says a cheerleader's body cannot jiggle. Women may have to undergo what's called a jiggle test, where they are required to do jumping jacks while their boss watches. If their body jiggles too much, they could be banned from the game. Required to show up to unpaid events. The NFL will regularly schedule appearances and other events that require the cheerleaders to show up. During this event, they may not receive any compensation. Not showing up could actually cost them quite a bit of money. Must go to every rehearsal. Cheerleaders are required to go to every single rehearsal, no matter what, even if they get sick. If they don't, they're fined. Cheerleaders are also not paid for many rehearsals, either. No pay for minor infractions. If a cheerleader forgets something, they can be docked an entire day's pay, even if it's something impossibly minor that people wouldn't catch, like missing a buckle. Water breaks only during offense. According to the Panthers rulebook, the cheerleaders are only allowed to have a water break when the team is on the offensive, even when out cheering for their team in 90-degree weather on a bright, sunny day. Subject to regular weigh-ins. The weigh-ins for cheerleaders are extremely serious. They have to be within 3 pounds of their ideal weight and can have substantial bodily changes, including too much muscle definition. Maintain personal hygiene. There's nothing wrong with maintaining personal hygiene, but the problem is that the handbooks get pretty detailed. The Jill's handbook even required women to change their feminine products every 4 hours. Don't use slang. Words such as, like, dude, ain't, use guys, and, I seen it, are expressly forbidden in the Jill's handbook. Even when they're off duty, they have to be grammatically correct. No negative facial expressions. The Raiderettes handbook tells cheerleaders, crude language, innuendos, slang and negative facial expressions are strictly verboten. It really shows how archaic the whole guidebook is. Hair must be one solid color. A lawsuit from the Buffalo Jills revealed a lot of rules, including one about hair color. The actual rule states that no trendy roots or coloring is allowed. However, if women really want highlights, they can try to get prior approval to dye their own hair. Must avoid hot topics. Cheerleaders aren't allowed to talk about certain things. That includes strong opinions, politics, and religion. They're also never allowed to debate sensitive issues. Refrain from public touch-ups. According to Business Insider, cheerleaders cannot touch up their makeup, adjust clothing, or fix anything about their appearance while on the field or in the public eye. Cannot attend players' parties. The Raiders guidebook told women that they weren't allowed to attend players' parties, which was revealed during the course of a lawsuit. Hair must be worn in a glamorous style. The Jill's handbook explicitly states that hair must be worn in a glamorous style with no clips or tiebacks. The actual rule continues to go into detail about the type of curl cheerleaders can have and that short hair must be worn full and fabulous. Only post appropriate photos on social media. Cheerleaders aren't allowed to post photos the NFL deems inappropriate. Their social media accounts are always under scrutiny, and many girls have lost their jobs due to photos the NFL didn't like. Conversation is required. Cheerleaders have to talk to people, and handbooks outline what they can and cannot talk about. Cannot follow players on social media. Following a player on your team is explicitly forbidden. They can't even say hello on social media. The NFL says they can't dictate what a player does, so they can follow cheerleaders, but it cannot be the other way around. Required to follow a strict dress code. Cheerleaders have to follow dress code on and off the field. Even when they're not actively working an event, or technically working at all, the women cannot wear sweatpants. Must sit in a ladylike manner. If you look at photos of sitting cheerleaders, you'll see that they all sit with their legs together with their ankles delicately crossed. They can't even relax on their own terms. Posing for and selling calendars is required. Cheerleaders are mandated to pose for their NFL teams for calendars, and they also have to sell a certain number each day and each quarter. While it differs from team to team, some cheerleaders are required to sell 20 calendars a day. No sweets allowed. Staying a proper weight is all about calories in versus calories out, but NFL handbooks go further than that. If a trainer or upper-level boss says a cheerleader can't eat sweets, she really can't eat sweets. No skin conditions allowed either. Apparently, some NFL teams have literally banned skin conditions. Regardless of whether it's their fault or not, cheerleaders get let go. They can only use certain products. NFL teams like the Buffalo Bills have dictated which products their cheerleaders can use. On top of that, they can't use a loofah or a sponge to clean themselves. The handbooks state that loofahs and sponges can carry bacteria. Shiny hair or nothing. Not only must their hair look glamorous and one color, but cheerleaders' hair also has to be shiny. It requires a lot of salon visits and constant hair masks to make sure your hair stays in shiny shape. Mimicking celebrities is required. Some teams tell their cheerleaders that they need to look like a celebrity. They must look glamorous at all times, which includes anything from getting hair extensions and stage makeup. Find more at alot.com.